Probably my favorite strategy within those that have been shown to be helpful in a practical way that can be blended with Christ-centered healing as a model has been called cognitive therapy. This was set in motion by a team of psychiatrists back east. The lead of those was Aaron Beck. David Burns was part of that initial group and has been the popularizer of that method. I absolutely love cognitive therapy because essentially what it does is it helps people to identify thought patterns that create pain, that create discouragement, depression, anger, whatever. For example, let's say that I have a client come in who was sexually abused in her childhood. And let's say that when she had that experience, she started to think to herself, as many do, this means I'm bad. This means no good man will ever love me. This means I am broken and wounded and I'm not as good as other people. This means that the only way I can get love is to make my body available. All of those kinds of things, if those are the kinds of thoughts that she identifies in response to that terrible experience, then that will set the foundations for her of low self-esteem, of depression, of anxiety, perhaps even of addiction or other kinds of problems throughout her life. Those are thoughts that can't help but do harm. One of the things I find that can be most valuable to help someone like that is to help them identify those particular kind of thoughts and to replace them with thoughts that work better for them. Rather than, this means I am a bad person, for example, labeling herself in a negative way. She can learn to say, an experience that was very destructive happened to me when I was very little during this specific period of time. I've had a lot of other experiences in my life that have been positive, with people who were good, with men and women who supported me in positive ways. And even though that terrible thing happened to me, I've had lots of other good things happen as well. She can learn to see that one bad experience in balance with many other good experiences in her life. And give herself credit for the good things that she has done, the good things that she has become. To answer, for example, that thought pattern that she may have developed as far as the only way that I can get love is to make my body available. We can help her to experiment upon some other, thought patterns and some other behaviors that go with that, as far as other kinds of ways to express love and to receive love from other people. One of my favorite resources for that is a wonderful book called The 5 Languages of Love. The author of that book mentions 5 different strategies for how love is both given and received, through words, through service, through gifts, through time extended, and through physical touch, both sexual and non-sexual, depending on the context. As people learn to expand their vocabulary of ways to think about extending and receiving love, it provides a broader framework in which that old belief system can just quietly fade away, replaced by something significantly better. I read in a book one time a very powerful idea that the only way to really, really remove a negative belief or negative thought process is to replace it with something better. That's at the very heart of cognitive therapy. And Dr. Burns's book, David Burns's book, The Feeling Good Handbook, is a wonderful way to get acquainted with that particular method. And I will tell you, it is work. For people to identify with the help of that particular manual or others like it, what particular kinds of thoughts get you in trouble. On a short list, things like should statements. I should do this and this and this, and I shouldn't do that and that and that, or other people should. By definition, will make you crazy. It will make you depressed. It will make you perfectionistic. It will make you upset with other people, whatever. There are more productive ways of thinking about those kinds of situations. All or nothing thinking. If it's not absolutely perfect every single time in every single dimension, it is a failure and I might as well give up. That's actually number 1 on Dr. Burns's list, and for good reason, because it creates a significant amount of pain, including, I found, for very devoted, good, well-intentioned people. Another very common cognitive distortion, as it's called, is mental filter, where and this is very common with depression, there could be 500 good things happen. I could be accomplishing 500 good things. But if one of them goes a little bit south, that's the one I think about. That's the one I'm up nights, playing back in my mind. That's the, focusing on something negative, even in the midst of other positive things, is one of those other cognitive distortions that can create a lot of pain. I will tell you from experience, both individually and professionally, that learning to identify and then step by step replace those negative kinds of ideas is literal work. In just as real a way as pulling out that weed and replacing it with tomato plant and nourishing that new growth. It is work. It is not instantaneous. When you've been thinking about something in a particular way for decades, it is not instantly going to go away. Particularly if that thought was planted, again, by multiple generations, which is very frequently the case. The point is, wherever we learn these things, they can be unlearned. They can be relearned. And cognitive therapy is a significantly powerful method, with or without the spiritual piece, for turning that around.